Hey everyone, welcome back to the College Algebra playlist. In the previous videos, we took a look at adding, subtracting, and multiplying polynomials. In this video, I want to take a look at factoring, which is essentially the reverse process of multiplying polynomials. So let me show you what I mean by that right now. Okay, here we go. Introduction to factoring. Here I have two binomials, x plus 2 and x minus 4. If we're asked to multiply those, we know how to do that, right? We use FOIL to expand this out and get rid of the parentheses. All right, so my firsts, I have x times x, that's x squared. And for my outers, I have x times negative 4, that gives me negative 4x. And for my inners, I have 2 and x, right? That product is 2x. And then for my lasts, I have 2 times negative 4. That product is negative 8. We can see that we have two like terms in the middle here, right? Negative 4x and positive 2x. We can add those to get negative 2x. Okay? So that process that we just went through, that's multiplying, right? We start with two factors and we end up with three terms. All right, it's important to make a distinction between those two things. Factors are things that are being multiplied together, and terms are things that are being added together. So we start with these factors and we end up with the terms x squared plus negative 2x plus negative 8. Okay, there's three terms here and two factors here. All right, so we know how to go from left to right, but what if we want to go from right to left? How do we do that? If we start with terms and we want to end up with factors. This is going to come up later in the playlist with solving quadratic equations. When we have trinomials that are factorable, we can turn terms into factors, and that helps us solve the equation easily. So that's coming up in a later video. But for now, we're just going to look at factoring itself. How to go from this trinomial to this product here. All right, factoring a trinomial with a leading coefficient of 1. That's what I had on the previous screen. A trinomial of the form x squared plus bx plus c, right, b and c are just numbers, can be written in factored form as x plus j times x plus k, where jk, right, those are the lasts. That product is c, right, c right here, and j plus k equals b, right, so the outers and the inners product will give me bx. All right. So the goal in factoring, you can see in blue here, is to find the values j and k that make it work. In the example on the previous screen, right, we have j equals 2 and k equals negative 4. Those are the values that make this work, right? If we multiply this, we get x squared minus 2x minus 8. Okay? So let's look at a concrete example. All right. Here I'm asked to factor x squared plus 5x plus 6, right? So I have three terms. I'm going to turn that into the product of two factors. All right? The way to do this is to use trial and error for all the possibilities that we have. J and K, right, there's four different ways that they can multiply together to give 6, right? 6 times 1, that's 6. 3 times 2, that's 6. Negative 6 times negative 1, that's also positive 6. And negative 3 times negative 2, that's also positive 6. All right? But we don't know yet what's happening with the outers and the inners, right? We need the outers and inners to add up to give 5x. Okay? So the way to do this is just to try out each possibility until we find one that works. All right? Some students don't like this because it's not a formula, right? We're not looking at a formula and plugging in values, right, to solve an equation. We're actually just using trial and error for different possibilities. So this is unlike anything we've seen before in the playlist. But let's just try it out and see what we can come up with. All right, let's start with the top left possibility, x plus 6 times x plus 1. If I FOIL that, I get x squared plus x plus 6x plus 6. All right. In the middle here, these two like terms, right, that adds up to give me 7x. So we have x squared plus 7x plus 6. All right, we can see that this does not match what we started with. Okay, we need the outers and the inners to add up to give me 5x. All right, so this possibility does not work. All right, so we just move on to the next one. Let's look at the top right. X plus 3 times x plus 2. When I FOIL that, I get this. All right, and then I add those two like terms, and I get 5x. X squared plus 5x plus 6. That matches what we started with, so that works. So that's our answer. X plus 3 times x plus 2. All right, let's try another one. We don't care about these possibilities, right? We don't need to FOIL those because we already found our answer. That's the beauty of trial and error. All right, here we're asked to factor x squared plus 6x plus 8. Okay, once again, there are 4 possibilities, right? There are 4 different ways that I can get the lasts to multiply together to give 8. All right, so let's try the top left first. X plus 8 times x plus 1. If I FOIL that, I get x squared plus x plus 8x plus 8. Okay, and if I add the two like terms in the middle, I get 9x. Does that match what we started with? No. So this possibility does not work. Okay, let's move to the top right. X plus 4 times x plus 2. If I FOIL that, I get this. Okay, add those two like terms in the middle, I get x squared plus 6x plus 8. So that matches what we started with. So x plus 4 times x plus 2 is our answer. All right, we moved from 3 terms to 2 factors successfully. Okay, let's take a look at one more example. We don't care about these, right? So let's just move on. Here I'm asked to factor x squared plus 2x minus 15. All right, let's try out our possibilities. Top left, x plus 15 times x minus 1. If I FOIL that, I get this. And I add like terms, and I get this. That does not match what we started with, so that doesn't work. Moving to the top right, if I FOIL it, I get this. If I add my two like terms in the middle, I get x squared minus 14x minus 15. That does not match what we started with, so that doesn't work either. All right, moving to the bottom left, x plus 3 times x minus 5 gives me this when I FOIL it. Let's add those two like terms in the middle. We get x squared minus 2x minus 15, which is close to what we started with, but it's not quite there, right? This negative 2x messes it up. So this possibility does not work. All right, let's try out this last possibility. X minus 3 times x plus 5. If I FOIL it, I get this. I add the like terms, I get x squared plus 2x minus 15. So that matches what we started with. So that's our answer. X minus 3 times x plus 5. All right, that does it for this video. Thank you for watching, and like and subscribe.